Thank you again to our speaker for your insights. So now it's time to speak about our Barometer 2022 Barometer and the findings of our second one. It's a great pleasure to welcome to stage Mr. Aristide Ouattara, who is Deloitte's leader of risk advisory in the Francophone Africa. So Aristide,
Son Excellence, Monsieur le Président,
His Excellency, the Head of States, the Prime Minister, the Speaker of the Parliament, dear members of the governments, dear heads of institutions, it is a great pleasure for Deloitte's consulting firm that I represent to present the second editions of the African Financial Industry Barometer, just like the CEO Barometer that we organize with Jeune Afrique Media Group. This barometer aims to present the habits and the mindsets of bank leaders, and this year sister CEO share their business model, their strategic challenges in terms of management as well, risk management, relationship with the regulators, their prospects in terms of innovation, as well as they also share with us on their role as a financier of the economy, who also took the opportunity to put some questions to them on what are their hurdles, what are their challenges, and how they can also have prospects regarding their objectives. So, well, there are three key takeaways from this barometer. The first one is trust or vigilance. In other words, bank leaders are sleeping over the laurel. I don't know, but they have the open eyes, still sleeping, but the eyes are open on a few issues that they want to share with you in these 15 minutes to come. The second one is ambition. They are aware of the fact that there are some challenges, but the bank leaders are dreaming, but they still have their both feet on the ground. The second one is a recurring one, the commitment in order to generate impact and contribute to the financing of the economy. So, in terms of trust, we discussed a while ago about the crisis situation and also the economic prospect. There are negative outlook. Out of the barometer, the bank leaders are confident rather, because over the 3 years to come, they say that they are anticipating positive outlook for the 3 years to come. It's even more than the result that we got during the previous CEO's barometers. So we have leaders here, financial fintechs, financial industries that are confident, and but above all, it is the resilience capacity to resist to the crisis. And we can see that in the financial industry, the insurers are slightly less optimistic. This is due to their profession, which is not something which is a surprise to us, not a surprise for us. And this confidence is translated through the commitment or the result that we have in the financial sector. I mean, in her introduction, said that, well, there is a movement of these investments of some international stakeholders that are withdrawing from Africa, which in reality is not an indicator of decline of attractiveness. This means that we have the emergence of African champions rather. This is illustrated by 65% of the leaders consider that attractiveness of the financial industry in Africa is growing. And one of the key elements to show this confidence is the outstanding initiative of the AFCFTA with the Pan-African Payment Arrangement, which is part of the elements that also testify about this increase in attractiveness. But we need to be careful on these ones. The major one we need to check is inflation. It is a major concern for everyone here. The central banks are on the forefront, but the financial institutions are taking a few arrangements in order to create a balance between profitability and solvency and liquidity. How did they do that? They do that by enhancing the policy of financing of subscription policies. But again, which is not a good news for the economy, but the planning, if the inflationary cycle continues, they will be compelled to transfer that into the pricing of the products. Why? Because, as you can see in the statistics regarding the establishment of instruments that are pegged to inflation, only 20% have designed inflation-based products depending on the sophistication of the financial instrument on the continent. By putting in place those arrangements, the financial institutions, they think that they can mitigate the impact of inflation on the capital and ultimately on the liquidity. Another red flag that we need to watch out, it is the important risk for the second consecutive years. Cybersecurity risk is ranked as one of the major concerns of the financial institutions, and I'm glad that there is a panel that will be focusing on this topic in a context of digitalization. It is the risk, the cyber risk that we need to consider, and the operational risk also. They are increasing as well. As you can see, all the current news on frauds, and in terms of the risk, the cost of risk, the operational risk is also as important as the financial risk. What about the ambitions? The financial institutions continue their transformation process and attracting investment. We ask the bank leaders, out of 10 priority areas of investment, the important information here is the human capital. This was discussed a while ago. It's the priority investment. They all agree on this subsector. Why is human capital important? For traditional professions, we need to build the capacities of the workers, and particularly with the new professions, it's important to invest in the identification, recruitment and training of those talents. And the second important aspect in the banking industries is customer experience or client experience. In a changing environment of the business model, how can we put in place and enhancing digitalizations, multi-channel distribution, which is important for the customer experience, and also for the insurance. The investment area that they want to consider is how to improve the effectiveness, the operational effectiveness. I said it a while ago that digitalization, we're discussing that, we'll continue discussing that because it is important for the transformation of the financial industry. And again, we ask again the same question to the banks for the self-assessment of the level of digital maturity. We realize that the banks that consider that they are at a level of important maturity regarding digitalization, but we also realize that some that are lagging behind acknowledge that fact. So more and more, we have a kind of heterogeneity between financial institutions regarding digitalization, and the other important aspect is the open banking concept. What is this concept about? The concept is about the ability of the banks or the insurance companies, traditional stakeholders, to interact with new stakeholders. This is instrumental in the transformation of the business model of our banks, insurance companies. They are trust drivers, and the fintech are bringing the agility and the technology. The good news is that we have about 40% of financial institutions, classical institutions, that declare that they have existing partnership with fintech, and 41% are expecting to do that, which is crucial in improving the offer of services of financial institutions, and all these will contribute ultimately to financial inclusion thanks to these fintechs. The financial institutions, traditional ones, are in position now to reach out to a very important number of people out there. So you can imagine that this barometer cannot be concluded without asking a question on cryptocurrency. And this is an anonymous questionnaire, so we're not going to mention any name here, but we can see that 63% of the respondents consider that cryptocurrency is an opportunity. I think that the governors of the central bank are not going to have a heart attack because of this information, but there are conditions for that. Control environment is important. The second one is that we concluded this barometer before the FTS bankruptcy, so some indicators may change, but there is a very interesting panel that will be discussing this issue. But no matter the case, we can see that there is an appetite and also vigilance on this one. And cryptocurrencies, people are enthusiastic about that, but regarding digital currencies or the central bank, there is a little less enthusiasm and nuances, and these for various reasons. And one of the major reason is issue regarding infrastructure and also competition, the digital currencies and the classical mobile money stakeholders. So there is a panel that is going to have a deep dive on this issue. So regarding the digital currency, so you can see that there is a mixed reaction regarding the enthusiasm that we recorded regarding the cryptocurrencies and the central bank digital currencies. Talking about ambition, and this ambition is limited. There are some hurdles to this ambition, and one of the problems is access to financial markets. The initiatives of interconnection of 7 stock markets, this is done at the appropriate time because, as you can note, more than half of the financial institutions consider that they have a limited access to the capital markets to raise capital and to be able to engage in trading on commodities and also to hedge their risk. If you have to have a solid financial industry, this is very important. And another point, we talk about the emergence of risk or risk emergence. There is also a very clear need to enhance some enrichment in place. The guarantee funds. I know that we have the MD of one of the renowned guarantee fund here. We still have a long way to go. Only 6% say that guarantee funds are well developed across the continent. We don't have the securitization is also another point, and Togo is going to host on Wednesday the first event on the forum of securitization, which is a financial technique, though this was not really welcomed by everyone, but it's very important to help the financial institutions to find areas of liquidity and risk management possibilities. This is a very important topic. We need to be in position to work collectively as an ecosystem to improve access to financial institutions regarding those financial techniques.
Un petit clin d'œil au...
Now, when it comes to the bosses of the banks, the regulators, the good news is that financial institutions acknowledge efforts made by the regulators when it comes to adaptation, complying with international standards. There are improvements, but there are issues that are regarded as being adequately managed by the regulators. Money laundering, for instance, regulators are under pressure to work as FATF. That is what is important. We acknowledge efforts being made to put in place the prudential standards when it comes to the insurance companies. It's there are some mixed reactions to that when it comes to insurance institutions. There is a panel that will be dealing with this matter, that is how to improve implementation of Basel III standards. The strategy adopted by regulators are also pretty much appreciated in the industry, but there are other issues on regulation of digital financial services. There is an overwhelming majority of issues to address. The other issue has to do with regulation of cybersecurity. And finally, issues bordering on the protection of personal data. Well, time not being on my side, the last issue we've just concluded COP27, financing of energy transition was at the heart of the concerns, and so the financial industry is critical. It has to start dealing with its impact, direct impact, but also products that it finance. The very first question: the African financial institutions, have they defined a trajectory with zero assistance? 71% have not done it. 21% have done it because they apply their mother institution standards. So there is still a long way to go on this matter. There has been improvement when it comes to the maturity of these institutions on setting up climate finance, embedding EEG criteria, stress testing, and we will continue. They've started. We will continue monitoring in the barometer the maturity of these stakeholders when it comes to climate finance. Now, financial services are into financing of solar energy, which is one of the critical issues when it comes to energy transition. By way of conclusion, there is trust. We need to renew ambition. There are challenges that are well known, and the ambition to have an impact. Now, the strategic panels, and all the discussions will confirm all these issues, and we will meet again next year for the second edition of our barometer when it comes to our formidable financial industry. I thank you.